I'll do. So I decided to make a little video about a coffee table I'm making. It's meant to be a really cheap one. A lot of the kind of coffee table videos on YouTube are a bit more fancy. This is dirt cheap, so don't judge me. Oh, but before I do, just check this out. Since my last video, I have installed a match fit system into my bench. Obviously you can't see a chunk of the bench there, but it runs over the whole thing. Look at this, it's beautiful. Yeah. It is a beautiful little system. I'm very much enjoying that. I literally did that yesterday, and even on the first day, I was finding it incredibly useful. So yeah, early days, but I think this is going to be an absolute game changer for me. The track was okay, but a bit clumsy. Plus it's a bit more of a faff to install. Match fit, you just route the grooves any way you want. It's amazing. It's expensive for what it is, especially these clamps. These are like 50 quid each, but so good. I'm going to be using it all the time. So cost per use, nothing. Anyway, back to that coffee table thing. So yeah, the coffee table, as I said, it needs to be cheap. This one's going to be dirt cheap. The goal with this was to make it from stuff I already had, so spend absolutely zero money on it. It's going to be painted, so it doesn't need to be anything nice wood-wise, which is good because it isn't. So don't judge me. This is going to be as kind of cheap and dirty as I could possibly do it, but we wanted quite a big one as well, and it's going to be on casters as well, so it can roll around a bit. So let me just show you what I'm using. The top of the coffee table is just a piece of 18mm MDF. There's going to be a bottom shelf at the bottom, which is it's 18mm of ply, but it's two 9mm pieces glued up. I got an amazing deal. There's double that size of ply, 9mm, for a £5 in the offcuts bin at my local B&Q. What I've stupidly done, well, not stupidly, but so I've laminated it and I've punched a load of brad nails in to hold it together because I didn't have any clamps that would do the whole thing. However, I still need to cut this to size, and there's a very good chance I'm going to end up cutting where there are brad nails, but that's my own fault. That's my own stupidity. The legs of the coffee table are just going to be 2x4. You can see I've got this 2x4 here clamped to the side of my workbench, just straightening out. The apron, is it called an apron? The bit that goes around underneath the top, but around the top of the legs. Again, just 18mm MDF and a couple over here. You can see I've done the pocket screw holes that are going to fix it to the top. And then I've just got some 4mm strips of quite thick MR MDF. I think it's maybe an inch thick. That's going to be, it's not really an apron, but it's just going to be a kind of support underneath the shelf at the bottom. I did film myself doing these pocket holes, so this next bit's going to be a little bit out of sequence. I did that last night before I decided I was going to start filming properly. But yeah, so here's a little bit about those pocket holes. These are going to be the skirt apron that goes around the underside of the coffee table top, and I'm going to fix the top with pocket screws because it's only going to be MDF, so it doesn't matter. There's no seasonal wood movement with MDF. But I'm going to give it a taper. I don't just want it to be like a uniform length. I'm going to sort of taper it in, have it thicker on where the legs are, thinner in the middle. But before I do that rather, I wanted to get the pocket holes in first so that there's more support to be able to actually, for my little sort of little pocket hole jig. So I've got more support to be able to do it, because once I cut that a bit thinner and I sort of taper in, it's going to be harder to put the pocket holes in. So I'm doing it now while they're thicker. Right, that's all the pocket holes done. Fair few of them. Now to get these pieces cut and taper them. I'm going to do the dominoes first. So I've got, on my domino, might be able to see, I've got the this badger that allows me to get the dominoes much closer to the edge. It gives you a 10mm gap to the edge instead of whatever the standard one is, which is a bit larger. So again, before I start doing the profiles on them, tapering them, whatever, I'll get the dominoes in while they're all nice and square, and then I will make them look nice afterwards. This is the positioning for that apron piece, rough positioning obviously. It's going to be joined together with dominoes. I'm going to use 2 dominoes in each corner, 2 dominoes on that middle piece. Because I'm very lucky to have a domino machine, which I picked up cheap second hand last year. What I am going to do though is when it's finished, I'm going to taper it so it kind of gets thinner in the middle. It's not going to be a curve. It'll be sort of not 45-degree angles, but you know, angles to taper in on both the long pieces and the short pieces. That piece in the middle is about the height that it's going to be at the kind of maximum taper. I'm also going to route chamfers along the edges of everything, but I'm going to get the dominoes done before I do that. Here's a quick assembly. Obviously we don't have the bottom shelf yet because I need to measure up for that and do that separately, but like I say, don't judge me. It's rustic as hell, you know, 2x4's for legs, MDF for everything else, a bit of ply, but when I've done the shelf. But you know, the objective here was to make something for zero cost out of what I had in the garage, something that's the right size. So what I need to do now is a bit of marking up. Obviously there's nothing holding this together at the moment apart from dry fit dominoes. So mark up where the legs go on the inside here so that I can start doing some pilot holes, because as I said, each leg is going to be held in place by a screw, 2 screws here, top and bottom, and then there's going to be an extra screw somewhere in here, probably slightly more towards the top, to hold the dominoes together while the glue dries. Then here a run of 3 screws, which are going to be, again, not in the middle, they'll be kind of more this way, but I think that'll actually be a good thing. So I've kind of got 4 layers of screws, if you like. You've got screw in there, pilot screw to hold dominoes together, run of screws there, and screw in there on each one of these. So I'm going to get marking out for that. Again, this is something I wanted to do before I profile these edges, before I cut my kind of taper, as it were. So and I'm also going to mark out where the legs come up to so that I start the taper slightly past the leg, maybe like 10 mils past the leg, just so I get that full height for screws and whatnot, and glue coverage as well, because there's going to be glue in there too. Right, I'm going to do some marking up off camera because it's pretty boring. All marked out, so we've got holes to go into the leg from the short pieces of the apron, a hole to hold the pieces of the apron together while the glue dries on the dominoes, and then on these longer pieces we've got a run of 3 holes that will be going into the leg. One thing I haven't really sort of mentioned, I suppose, but when I'm doing pilot holes, I like to drill them through from the inside face, the face that's actually going to mate with wherever the screw is going into. So if there is any kind of slightly out of true, it goes to the outside of the piece, and when the screw actually emerges at the point where it's going to mate with the piece it's going into, it's dead on where it needs to be. Even if it's going at a slight angle, it's at least at the right place at that point. It's kind of a metaphysics of quality thing. If you've ever read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, I just like to kind of do it that way. It kind of quiets my mind. Okay, so one thing that's pretty clear at this stage is this this apron piece is taking quite a lot of time to get everything done. Pocket holes, cut in, dominoes, pilot holes in the drill press, and then I've still got to cut it to shape, do the profiling on it, the tapering or whatever. But I think it's important. I think that's the bit that really ought to be the most time. It's going to hold everything else together. So apologies if this is ending up being a really long video. After I did all those pilot holes, I reassembled the whole thing using those corner clamps, and then drilled through the pilot holes into the ends of the MDF. There you go. Just so that I know that when I put the screws in, hopefully it'll all go square. I mean, I use the clamps again anyway. I've drawn out my tapering profiles. As I said, I wanted angles. I didn't want a gradual curve. I wanted it to kind of be angular. So I'm going to do one of each, one short piece, one long piece, and then use those as templates and route them. So as I said, this apron taking a lot of time, but once it's done, I think that's the rest of it will come together pretty quickly. Well, I didn't film the glue up, and I'm very glad I didn't, because to be honest, it's gone spectacularly badly. Almost every single edge has split. I guess that's doing the dominoes that bit closer to the edge, using the edge stops that are not as far out, not the 37mm ones. Got some MDF bulging out the middle here. I don't know what's happened with that. This corner's split particularly badly. You see I've tried to force glue in and clamp it shut. I think once the domino glue sets, it'll be okay. These two pilot screws are just spinning in the holes. They're doing absolutely nothing because that had split so badly. So overall, could have been better, but see what happens when it sets. It's pretty cold in here at the moment. 14 degrees just because I've had the heater on, but if I turn the heater off, it'll go down to about 7, so I'm going to have to leave the heater on for a bit, I think, because I can't really bring this in the house. I mean, I pride myself on trying to do stuff in advance, get everything ready, and yet every glue up I ever do is just a baffling mad scramble. I don't know what the secret is. Anyway, see what happens when the glue sets, I suppose. Well, it's the morning after the worst glue up known to man. I left the heater on for quite a while after the glue up, good few hours. It was kind of like 16 degrees in here, so I think it's all set. It's probably fine, but while I've got some clamps on it, some kind of structure, I'm going to just get this apron, skirt, whatever, glued and pocket screwed down onto the top. And then at least it's got that extra kind of rigidity, extra structure to it. Annoyingly though, well, not annoyingly actually, I kind of had a bit of a blunder, but I've kind of also, it's come good. So I put this chamfer around the edge of the feet on the legs, or the end of the legs, I suppose, not really feet are they, but because I thought it looked nice, which it does, I'm quite happy with it. But I forgot that we want to put casters on the bottom, and in doing this I've reduced the flat area down to 26mm, and I can't find any casters that small, and even if I could, they probably wouldn't be strong enough, because it's going to be quite a chunky table when it's finished. So, but luckily, I also took a leg inside and did a quick sort of test sitting in front of the sofa to see, and it's actually a little bit on the high side anyway, so I am just going to cut off a bit from the bottom of the legs, but I'm not going to finalise it until I'm going to take it in the house with the legs sort of clamped in place before I attach them permanently, and just check the height in the house later on. But anyway, so let's get the apron attached. So off camera, I've just cut up the bits for the support that's going to go under the shelf at the bottom. Also cut some of these little things. I'm going to use these to hold the shelf to the leg underneath, just because I had a little bit of this profile stuff, so I thought might as well use it. So this is quite thick. I think it's over 25mm. It's about 25.6 according to my calipers. Looks like MDF because it's green in the middle, so hopefully this won't split. I'm only going to put one domino in each thing though, and obviously it'll be a bit further in because of the fact that it's 25mm, not 18mm, although that bit in the middle is 18mm, but the middle support wasn't the problem last time. Anyway, so yeah, let's get on with doing those dominoes. Let me show you something. So up until now, I've managed to avoid all of these brad nails that I put in there, but the line I'm going to cut along here to bring this to exactly the right length, annoyingly avoids all of them until just here. It's going to hit that with the curve of the blade. It's just one. I'm going to see if I can maybe get it out somehow. Not really sure how. I'm going to do this off camera. Success. So I managed to drill around it, and then I tried to go at it with some needle nose pliers, but I couldn't get enough grip. So what I did was put the needle nose pliers on it and then use some locking pliers to clamp the needle nose pliers jaws onto it, and then I could pull it out. I think there is going to be a little bit of a chip in this edge, but that's fine. I'm going to route to the edge anyway, so I might be able to get away with it, but I can live with that tiny chip. I'll hide it on one corner that's not visible. There we go. That's what it's ended up being. I mean, for a free coffee table made from leftover bits of wood that's going to be painted, and that's the bottom shelf. I can live with that. Just brackets going to be holding these down to the shelf, nothing fancy here, and a bit of glue obviously, so let's do it. Another thing I did off camera, sorry, I know there's a lot of off camera stuff in this video, which is not ideal for a video, is it? But anyway, I've added my little supports on. I've cut the legs to length. We took it in the house, clamped it up and sort of decided on the correct height. So that's the correct height with a caster on the bottom. Because I didn't do my chamfer around the bottom edge so that I could get the casters on, I kind of cut it off at 45 because I thought that looked nicer. And yeah, I've got my little bits of profile on there, so that will be the support for the shelf. Also, the painting has begun. My wife's been doing some painting. That's the shelf standing up there. So yeah, should be ready very soon, hopefully. So the missus has done a phenomenal job of painting it. So now I just need to glue and screw it together. So let's get that done. So there she blows. Pretty happy with that. Zero cost. Oh, well, we did actually have to buy some primer, but paint was left over, wood was left over. Oh, and I bought the casters. Sorry, yeah, okay, so not zero cost, but never mind. I did get one split, putting screws in just here. This bit of that leg split, I can live with that. Obviously the screw hole's very visible. Again, I can live with that. I really don't mind. It doesn't bother me, but you could screw through from the inside if you wanted. I just wanted to have maximum hold in the MDF because that's the weaker bit. So yeah, all in all, very happy. I'm just going to go around and sink the screws to the same level because the driver didn't do that. Incidentally, get yourself one of these. It's a Barco pistol grip. Hang on a minute. Yeah. Barco, these are excellent. It's ratcheting, and obviously ratchets both ways, but it's got that for a really nice grip. It feels really solid, and the bits are all stored in here. You can take them out with this thing here. Oh, I can't be asked to do it, but anyway, recommend these. Here's a cheeky little shot of it in situ. Looking good. It's a nice big coffee table for the space, and it rolls nicely on the carpet with those casters, which is what we want because these seats recline, so when it comes out, you obviously want to push the table away. And if you're being a couch potato, eating your dinner, watching TV, you want it closer into you. So yeah, cats like it too. For an extremely cheap coffee table, mostly made from scraps, it's mission accomplished. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and see you in the next one.